Get some instant analysis to welcome in Avery Johnson and Tim Doyle here on CBS Sports HQ. And Avery, how impressed have you been with Juwan Howard and this Wolverines bunch?
Well, I'm really impressed with Juwan Howard. You know, here's a guy that had an unbelievable career in the NBA as a player, as an assistant coach. Obviously, we know all of his exploits with the Fab Five when he was playing in college with, you know, another one of my old friends, Jalen Rose, and Rookie of the Year who I played with in the NBA, Chris Webber, and all those guys. But the job that he's doing with Michigan is beyond impressive. And I would say specifically with the job that he's doing with Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson is a kid that's been, you know, dominating inside with his post-ups, with his deep steals. But I'm as impressed with his passing ability, not just in the half court, but Juwan is utilizing his 7-1 center in his press offense. And he has a significant role in the press offense, helping them break that Florida State press. So that's coaching. That's an adjustment that Juwan made. And I'm just very impressed with he and his team going into the Elite Eight.
Yeah, they won all the important statistics. You got to win against Florida State. You got to match them on the backboards. Michigan won the backboards. Check out the free throws there. Shot 17 more free throws, even though they didn't shoot a crazy high percentage. They were the more aggressive team, and then they didn't turn it over. I think it's the biggest number. You know, 7 more possessions in a game. I mean, that's an opportunity to go out there and get as high as 21 points in a game there. Every possession we knew was going to be so valuable. Michigan was tough. You know, the Big Ten had a very disappointing NCAA tournament. Not only did teams lose, teams got embarrassed. Ohio State, embarrassed. Illinois, embarrassed. I mean, lost by double digits. Wisconsin, embarrassed by Baylor. So you got one team carrying the torch for a conference, and nobody, including myself, picked Michigan to get out of this region. So how often, Coach and Akeem, can a number 1 seed say it's us against the world? They're like, you can't really do that when you're the number 1. But in this case, you can, because experts like me are not picking them. And I didn't see anybody picking them coming out of that region. I thought they were the tougher team. And that's saying a lot, because when you play Florida State and Leonard Hamilton, you know that they're going to try to beat you up physically. And if you match that, well, then you have a chance. This game was really never competitive. It was all Michigan.
Look, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. I don't know if you can focus in on my phone here, but I can show you I have Michigan in the Final Four. So, okay, there you go. So I picked Michigan. What do you have to say to that?
Okay, congratulations. You don't get picked to pick the games. Me and Avery get picked to pick the games. Okay,
well, look, no, I get it. Florida State was the trendy pick here. They're the tallest team in Division I, but they had no answer, Tim, for Hunter Dickinson inside. They were outscored 50-28 in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. They had their bumps in the road, Florida State, right? They were not a flawless team. I mean, you know, games against North Carolina, games against Notre Dame. I mean, 2 teams I would say that were, you know, crushing the world this year. You know, they had their struggles, and Michigan just exploited it. Michigan was a more talented offensive team. They had more guys that could go out there and make plays. I thought that Florida State's length was going to bother them. It didn't. They only had 7 turnovers. Of all the things that impressed me the most, Coach, that's it. Only 7 TOs. If you have 7 TOs in a college game, I would say 9 out of 10 times you're going to win.
Yeah, and also when you look at this region, you know, this is. I had Texas going to the Final Four. That show you what I do. And they've had quite a few changes at Texas with Shaka Smart going to Marquette. But I think this was a perfect storm for Michigan in terms of Florida State. They turned the ball over. They were 0 for 7 from 3 in the first half, 1 for 2 from the foul line. And it was just compounding mistakes after mistakes after mistake. They made a little bit of a run there in the second half with back-to-back threes, polite hits a 3. And then on the very next possession, they come down and they run over one of Michigan's players with a charging situation. So it's just a situation with Florida State. Their best player, Scotty Barnes, who I believe, not him, Jay Walker, but I believe Scotty Barnes is their best player. He's not a very good shooter. He shoots 29% from the three-point line. He's projected to go first round in the NBA. But he didn't have a good night offensively, especially from behind the three-point line. So give Michigan credit, sound game plan. They executed it. They forced Florida State to try to beat them from over the top. And Florida State just had too many careless turnovers.
Avery, how critical is that, having a trusted voice in Phil Martelli on the sideline there for Juwan Howard? Of course, Martelli, the longtime St. Joe's head coach. How critical is that for this Michigan team, for Juwan Howard, who's a fairly new head coach?
Yeah, and he's not only fairly new, he's never coached in college. Here's a guy that's spent, 20 years almost in the NBA as a player and an assistant coach in the NBA. The NBA and college basketball is two different worlds. I know it's around basketball with a 10-foot hoop, but there's so many more variables involved in college recruiting, academics. You're dealing with players' parents. And Juwan Howard, as great a coach as he is, it's good to have that guy like Phil Martelli that you can bounce things off. He basically coached his entire career in college. He knows everything, the ins and outs of college basketball, and he can help Juwan, whether it's practices, recruiting. It's just a tremendous voice to have on your coaching staff.
And Juwan Howard is the reason why Mike Woodson got hired today. There's no doubt about it in my mind. The fact that Juwan Howard, who's a longtime NBA, I repeat, NBA assistant, takes the jump to college and all this success. Everybody is such a copycat, right? It's like, oh, Indiana's got to go get Mike Woodson. Mike Woodson needs to go hire a former balding coach from the Philadelphia area who's won a lot of games. I just want to know this, Avery. If you get another coaching job, I want to be an assistant. But here's the deal. Like, we may be down 8, but we're plus 6.5. Press, we need a bucket bad. You're going to be like, what are you doing over there? Go, we need a hoop. So maybe I wouldn't be that good of an assistant coach, because sometimes it doesn't matter if you win or lose, as long as you cover.
Sounds like Blue Chips. You don't want to have any of that nonsense going on. That was one of the greatest movies of all time, by the way.
Here's one other point. Even though he didn't play in the NBA, last year, a couple of years ago, remember when Anthony Grant went back to his alma mater, Dayton, to coach. So it's not just NBA assistants, which that's a great point by Tim, but it's just those guys that's going back to their roots where they played in that uniform, and it means a whole lot to them to see that their schools are back on top. And had we had the NCAA tournament last year, Dayton could have very well, with Obi Toppin, led by Coach Anthony Grant, could have potentially been a Final Four team.
Tim, are you surprised that Michigan has gotten this far without Isaiah Livers, the second leading scorer? They're essentially their heart and soul of that team.
Yes, I picked against them the last 2 games, and I watched them against Texas Southern, and they actually lost the second half against Texas Southern. Now, they won comfortably, but it was ugly. And in the Big Ten tournament, they didn't look great. And when you lose a guy like Isaiah Livers, how do you replace him? But they got a lot of multi-skilled guys. A guy like Wagner, it's nice when you're a 6'9" sophomore, you can step on the perimeter. Hunter Dickinson's going to be a pro. Those 2 guys are NBA players. And then the rest of their roster, they got some other guys that can put the ball in the basket. I mean, they got some talent, no doubt about it. But I just love the way of how they won this game. It almost shows me a little bit of Baylor when they were like, oh, okay, we're missing the 3. We got to lock down defensively. Michigan, who traditionally is known for kind of a balance of offense and defense, probably a little bit more of an offensive scheme team. They out-muscled Florida State. They matched their physicality. I love teams that can win in different styles. And Juwan Howard's team won all the key numbers, especially points off turnovers. A massive number there, 24-6. They got to the free throw line 17 more times than Florida State. They won the rebounding battle. They didn't turn the ball over. So, once in a while, you got to kind of gut out a win. And when you play Florida State, when you play Syracuse, when you play long athletic teams, it's not aesthetically always going to be the most pleasing games, but you got to figure out a way. Houston did it yesterday. Michigan did it today. And the beat goes on. And I think the message stays the same. Us against the world. No one expects us to be here. And they are still here. And I love the way that they can win in multiple facets.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.